Hello everybody, so for those who find my video without going through my website, let me introduce myself. My name is Gilles Ortubise, and my name as a self-taught and multidisciplinary scientist and inventor is Gilles Lozon Ortubise, and I am the owner and the founder of the first human multi-intelligence.com. So the title of this video is Process which is responsible for force formation of new atom at once, part 3. But of course this process is responsible too for force formation of a new proton, new neutron, or new proton-neutron pair of one of the 93 species of element of natural chemical element. So I'm going to read the text of my article, which the name is the black hole 404. And of course, where I explained then the black hole, it's only the zone, the circular zone of the engulfment of the black celestial sphere. So that's why the black hole is not enough to describe these objects properly. So that's why I call these objects black celestial sphere, because under its circular zone of engulfment, these objects need a structures underneath to to engulf all matters. They goes to his reach. So then, okay, so I follow the text. So which start with, on the other hand, in the case of the formation of an iron atom's 56 Fe, which is composed, among others, of 26 protons and 30 neutrons. This has the consequence that at the time of its construction of strange, from the formation of a first iron proton or neutron, but of iron proton or a neutron of the same species for all the 94, the other 93 of natural chemical elements, because of course the hydrogen does, only a small amount of the hydrogen are composed with a proton and neutron, but a lots bigger percentage which is only composed by only one proton. So then so I continue, and from the moment it's bind forcibly to an additional proton or neutron, it's formed a first proton-neutron pair of 56 Fe iron atoms. And that's the same for all the other species. It's the same thing. So and the fact that the central floating container may contain a small percentage of hydrogen proton neutron pair. This has the consequence for the first proton neutron pair of an atom under construction of iron 56 Fe to forcibly remain in the central floating container of hydrogen. But it's exactly the same for the other 93 natural chemical elements. But from when a first proton pair of an atoms under construction of iron 56 Fe binds forcibly an additional proton or neutron, it's formed a proton pairs that is bounded forcibly to an additional proton or neutron of an atoms of construction of iron 56 Fe. but a pair of iron could be only bounded to a proton, to an additional proton iron, or a neutron, which is the same species for all the 94 natural chemical elements then. So, and in this way, yes, so, and this, and when a pair was bounded forcibly to an additional proton or neutron of atom under a construction of iron 56 Fe, and this result in because of a higher volume and because of the highest internal pressure of any objects in the universe, being that of the black celestial sphere of any size, to force this trio out of the central bi-ion hydrogen container, to force it into the helium container, which is the one is just next door neighbor of the hydrogen container. And when a second proton-neutron pair of iron is forcibly joined to the first proton-neutron pair of an atom under construction of iron 56 Fe, it stays in the floating helium container because it can hold two proton-neutron pairs of any species then. And when a proton or a neutron is forcibly joined to the two proton-neutron pairs of an atoms under construction of iron 56 Fe, it stays in the floating container, in the floating helium container, because it can hold two pairs of neutron. It can hold two proton pairs that are bounded to a neutron or a proton. But when the two pairs of iron atoms build 56 Fe binds forcibly to another proton pair of iron, this and only of iron, this result in a bigger volume, and because of the highest internal pressure of any objects in the universe, that of the black celestial sphere of any size, to force this trio out of the floating container of helium to going into the floating container of lithium, which is just next door neighbor. And when a proton or a neutron is forcibly joined to the three proton pairs of an atoms under construction of iron 56 Fe, it stays in the floating lithium container because it can hold three proton-neutron pairs and one neutron or proton. And when the three proton pairs of an atoms build 56 Fe binds forcibly to another proton pair, the result in its volume becomes bigger than before, and because of the highest internal pressure of any objects in the universe, being that of the black celestial sphere of any size, to force this assembly to stay by force in the floating container of lithium, because it can hold four neutron pairs. But when the four neutron pairs of an atoms build 56 Fe binds forcibly to an additional proton or neutron, this result in a bigger volume, of course, but because of the highest internal pressure of any objects in the universe, which is the black celestial sphere of any size, to force this assembly to leave by force the floating container of helium to enter by force into the next floating container of beryllium. And when a proton-neutron pair of iron is joined by force to 4 proton-neutron pairs of n atoms under construction of iron 56 Fe, this in result it's become a bigger volume, but because of the highest internal pressure of any size of the universe, which is the one of the black sulfur of any size, this situation to force this assembly out of the buoyant container of beryllium into the next Bohr container of boron. And when a proton or neutron is joined by force to the 5 proton-neutron pairs of an atoms under construction of iron 56 Fe, this results, of course, in a bigger volume, and because of the highest internal pressure of any objects in the universe, which is being that of the black sulfur of any size, that's result to force this set of forcibly stay inside of the boron floating container because it can achieve it. So, but when the 5 proton-neutron pairs of n atoms build 56 Fe binds forcibly to another proton-neutron pair, this results in change for a bigger volume, and because of the highest internal pressure of any objects in the universe, which is the one of the black stelliosphere of any size, this result to force this assembly out of the floating container of boron to enter by force into the next floating container, which is the one of the carbon. And so on for the particular characteristic of the floating containers, which exceed that of the floating container of the carbon and up to the floating container of the iron, which is a corresponding floating container. Or in another situation, when all the elementary particles of one of the 94 species of natural elements suddenly find themselves joining the floating container of the center of the hydrogen. In this case, each atom of the 94 of the other 93 of natural chemical elements, it is formed in a fraction of a second, then go directly to its corresponding floating container. So that's enough for this video. So I should come back in that kind of material. So in some other video. So thank you to see my video, and see you to the next.